Okay, we'll be going live here shortly. Bottom line, I've set up everything. Everything's going. Ready, set, go. All right, welcome back to Real Cast Fishing. Your host, Glenn, with the City Valley Field Team, COAF, on Field Team on YouTube. And this round, what I want to go over is, well, some things that we've been doing here lately. In particular, I am talking about fishing a particular area called, let me just adjust this real quick, Bethany Lakes. And some of the things I've been doing these past few weeks have been mainly just fishing the spawn and whatnot, where we've got a few bass and things kind of hanging out in the shallows, particularly on their beds. And I've been trying to tackle it two different ways in catching them. One was initially bait finesse gear, that ultralight bait casting gear that I've been kind of addicted to. And then I've been switching over to some fly fishing as well. And when I say fly fishing, I'm talking using this one fly fishing rod combo that I picked up from Amazon several years back that I've been surely just happy with it. I use it as a backup rod typically, and my keeping it in my pickup and whatnot, just well, ready to be available. But so right now we've got some storms that are kind of brewing all around us, and bear with me. We got our fancy gear here. This stuff turns on and off by itself after it lags for so long. Anyhow, I want to kind of walk you through some of this video that I have that hopefully give you an idea of, well, what's out there. Okay, so I'm just going to walk you through this baby right here. Okay, so I've set up a little martin fly fishing combo. I'm using a damsel fly. It's a simple fly that's made with 2 plumes of marabou, and I'm going to be working it at one of our local ponds with my polarized glasses on. I am looking in the water, kind of sight casting or sight fishing for well, these bass on beds. And the key thing about these bass on beds is if you have your polarized glasses, you'll see where they've kind of dug out a particular location, and there are while they're prepping themselves to I guess the spawn and whatnot. But what you'll see is these circular 1 to 2 foot spots where there are bass kind of lurking in there. And I've been using some bait finesse ultralight bait casting gear as well as some fly fishing gear. In this case, I'm using this damsel fly that's made with a bead chain and those 2 marabou plumes, and I'm casting it repeatedly at this one spot because I see one that is reacting to my fly. This is kind of what I do during this time of year. Let's see, Kayak Family. Howdy, howdy. How's it going? Appreciate you joining tonight. Just going over some happenings these past few weeks. Mainly talking about the bass on beds that I've been doing. And in this case, I'm using a Flyrod and that damsel fly. And I am fishing this one particular spot, looking at this bass. There's 2 of them there, but one of them is actively getting maybe angry, I guess, at my fly, but he's not wanting to strike readily. He is kind of moving in and out of the water, but because I got my polarized glasses, I got that off-color fly with that white plume, marabou plume. I'm able to see the reaction of the bass, and because what I'm doing at this point is I'm really looking at the line as well as my fly to see if anything will, if the bass will actually strike, and if it disappears, I'll set the hook. And I think I had several missed strikes and whatnot. All right, let's see. The other thing is oh, here, I got this guy on the line here. No, that was right before I hooked into him. You could see that he's moving about. I think you saw his tail or whatnot hit the surface, and yeah, there's 2 of them over there. They're moving about, and luckily I got my polarized glasses so I can see what they're doing. And the key takeaway here is I'm using fly fishing gear, not this expensive stuff. I picked it up from Amazon for like 29, 30 bucks. It's very basic rod setup, but it's one that I if I was first starting out and I didn't have a lot of funds that I wanted to spend just because I wasn't sure if I'd like the sport or that technique, I'd go with it because it comes with everything. It came with the fly line, it came with the leader and tippet, even a little instruction book along with 6 flies. And I used all 6 flies and caught a fish on every single one of them. Fortunately, there was a mother minnow and a woolly bugger that was in that combo that just really got torn up. Ended up having to, well, the fish tore them up and I had to go replace them. Anyhow, these past few weeks, this time of year, I'll be out there fishing mainly the ponds because taking the opportunity of these bass, and if you could see kind of in the deal there, you can see where there's some off-color spots in the pond. And this particular location, when I walked it a couple of weeks ago, if not this last 3-4 days, I've seen where they have moved in and they are on their beds and they are spawning and protecting their beds and whatnot. Maybe a little bit different here in the next few weeks because, or at least next few days, because we got some thunderstorms rolling through, some hail and whatnot over this weekend. Anticipating some of the creeks getting flooded, so the white bass run, you know, may get delayed a little bit. And I know the crappie are in, starting to come in and spawn and get into the shallows and whatnot. So it's one to just keep in your back pocket that there's a lot of fishing opportunity. What I typically try doing, at least these weeks, is I stick to the ponds. I'll make the occasional run out to the lake, which I'll get to, and yeah, so that's what I've been doing these past few weeks here, and it's been pretty good. Bait finesse style, the fly rods. Let me grab this one real quick. Okay, this is one that I've been using in particular. Let me go ahead and shift over. Okay, oops. Okay, so right here, this is the Shimano Corrado BFS XG. Well, it just so happens I lose my, oh, that's a technical difficulties. Anyways, this is the Shimano Corrado BFS XG that I've been using. Okay. All right. Oh, it's back on, but now it just kicked it into this, you know, other view. But anyways, that's what happens when you're doing these live. Anyways, ultralight bait casting. Been having a fun time with that. Let me see if I can shift this over to the next video. Oh, bear with me. Okay, or excuse me, this one right here. Okay, so let me see if I can shift this over to another video. Okay, let's see. Let's go to this one. Okay. All right, so here I'm back again with that Martin fly fishing combo. Hi Ground Fog, how's it going? Welcome back. Appreciate y'all joining. Just doing a little live streaming, given that we've got some bad weather, and since yours truly can always talk fishing if I can't go fishing, so figured it'd be a good time, especially on a Saturday night. And I am having a little Tropical Force Voodoo Ranger IPA. 9.5% alcohol content, so a little something here while we talk fishing, because hey, might as well have a little brewski while we're talking fishing. Anyhow, the key thing about this pond, this is one that I keep going back and forth to, is pretty soon it's going to get really clobbered with all this green algae like stuff, this junk. And but what you can take advantage of, because I was normally fishing it with some ultralight bait casting gear, it's going to get really clobbered trying to use that. So I went to the Flyrod, and here I'm just kind of poking the fly in different spots where I see the bass are, or additionally if there's an open area, I'll start casting there. So I need to retip a fly rod. Do you have any suggestions of a source of materials? Let's see, there's Jan's Netcraft. That's where I get a lot of my rod components over the years. They usually have a good selection of the rod tip, and then there's also just a typical rod repair kit you can pick up, be it at the local, be it well, we've got Cabelas here in Allen, but we also have some Bass Pro Shop, a couple places here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But yeah, certainly recommend those. But online, you can get it from Amazon as well. I do like the one that gives you various tips, as well as includes the little hot glue deal, because you don't really make a permanent, make it permanent when you put it on the rod tip, or rod guide on your rod tip. You typically just use that hot glue, and then you use the wrappings from the rod itself, that thread or whatnot, to hold it in place. I find that I can just usually pop one off with just taking a lighter and boom. But of course, if it breaks, that's a different story. But anyways, I like the one that has different sizes, because usually when I'm replacing a rod tip is because it broke, and I need a larger size than the original because of that broken piece. But I did fix a bass rod where the tip broke about 3-4 inches from the tip, and because it was hollow, I was able to put another fiberglass rod piece from another rod that broke, because I don't throw them away, I keep them, and I repurpose them for whatever reason. In this case, I just took a section of it, put it in the hollow section of one end of the rod, and then it was slipping into the tip that broke off, and I was able to reuse it, and I still use it today. Now it's up there. I broke it last year when I went fishing on the coast, fishing for some, what was it, speckled trout under the lights. But hey, I got a different rod for that now. All right. Alrighty. Hopefully that answered your question. Let's see. So I am working this particular location. You can see right in the, you can see these kind of light spots and whatnot, and that is the dead giveaway that there is some bass that are building up in their beds and whatnot. Let's see, is that a gar in the picture? Yes, yes. This is what I do later when it warms up. I'll go out and start doing some jug lining from the kayak, and we get a mix of catfish, and we get a mix of gar and carp and whatnot taking. And this one's maybe a little 2-3 foot gar. Yeah, I did lose a big one though, and then I did catch some nice size catfish and jug lining as well. So that should be coming up here probably come this month into May. Once I get a break, I'll be hitting the local lake with the kayak. I did make a run last weekend in the John boat, and we were specifically targeting a what do you call it, crappie, but we ended up getting some white bass. Ever fish gar on the tangle flies? No, I haven't. I do know some folks that have, and there's another one what we used to do when I lived down in South Texas, and we'd fish for the gar on the Oasis. It wasn't a fly. You just basically took a rope and you frayed it, and it was heavy enough that you could cast it with a bait caster or a spinning rod, and you could catch them in that manner. I've done that, but not on technically fly fishing. But it is pretty fun because, yeah, they do tangle in there, and they get tangled and they don't come off. All right. Okay. So again, I'm working this particular pond. I am looking at specific spots, but then when I come up to these culverts, I'll start working that one and start targeting that area where I know there's going to be some potential structure there where it kind of dips down, and possibly get a fish or two there. It was a very windy day this day. It was making it really tough to fish, and what I'm doing is just kind of hurrying along, trying to get back to the other side because I want to kind of try fishing that area. And I don't believe I got anything on this side of the pond. In fact, let me go ahead and speed it up and take it to, oh, there we go. It looks like I did get something on this side of the pond. Okay. Let's see. Oh yeah, there he is. Okay, I'll let that one run right there. Let me, well, I went a little bit too far. Okay. A nice little bass. And again, this one I believe struck. Let's see if I can get it back down. All right. This one struck. I was mainly blind casting in this case. All right. So I was just walking the pond and I was just kind of looking for these different bass on beds, and it didn't turn out it was going to be the case. So I ended up just kind of blind casting and looking for these open areas, and that's what happened here. Was I got one that was passing. What to set up for stock trout, for fly fishing or for bait finesse. Fly fishing, I've got a number of rods. You can see here, these are all fly rods pretty much up on the wall. But for stock trout, little 3-weight, 4-weight, 5-weight, those are fun. If you have a 5-weight, you should be good to go. That's a good all-around rod for fishing, ponds and lakes and whatnot, as well as the stock trout during the winter. A 3-4 is a fun one. One of my favorite ones I keep. In fact, it's in the back of my pickup right now. Is a 4-weight, 8-foot Reddington 2-piece that I have ready to go. Okay, for stock trout, what flies should I use? Usually if you go with, I call it, and it was an article that was posted by a fisherman in Oklahoma that gave the 6 flies, fishing flies to use in Oklahoma. And what I found out is, or what I discovered is, that's a pretty good one to apply here in Texas as well. And it may apply elsewhere. But bottom line, those 6 flies, I'm trying to remember offhand. There was the muddler minnow, there was the woolly bugger, there was a soft hackle, and then San Juan worm, and then there was a midge. And when I say the midge, more like a zebra midge. And oh, I think they had a pheasant tail nymph in that mix also. Me personally, I'll start out with a version of the olive woolly bugger, which is the near deer, olive near deer, in a size 10, size 12. That one's my all-around go-to fly when I'm fishing for stock trout. Additionally, I do like having some of your, like the San Juan worm, but I call it the squirmy worm because it's one that's made out of that squishy, tentacled looking thing that you can get from toys at Walmart and whatnot. It's a version of a San Juan worm, but it's using that squirmy tentacle thing. Additionally, I like having the gold rib hare's ear nymph, usually in about a size 10, maybe size, well, actually, no, size 14, 16, 18. And the main reason there is, rumor has it that the gold rib hare's ear nymph mimics the, I guess, trout food that is given to, or that is fed to stock trout. All right, and I used to use that one often. Now I kind of mix it up. Well, I'll have a 210 rig at times, where I have a streamer, and then it's usually some kind of nymph, get that gold ribs hare's ear, possibly a pheasant tail, and then maybe one of those zebra midges, just depending on where I'm fishing. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Wow. Okay. All right, going on to this particular location where I'm fishing. Again, just kind of working the pond using this, I call it a discount fly rod, the Martin fly fishing combo. And it does have a, well, it feels like a club. If you're used to these lightweight rods and whatnot that you get with the graphite and fast action, that's not what you're getting here. You're getting a basic rod that I would say is a good backup rod. Some folks that you'll see posting, be it on YouTube or elsewhere, where it says there's no drag. Technically, yes, there is a drag, but it's not your traditional drag where you can adjust the setting on it. Instead, It's called the click pawl, right? It's basically a clicker. And on the back of it, you just click it on and off. And the reason why you use it is as you're pulling line out and casting, it's keeping the line from overrunning, sort of like a backlash that you get from bait casting. It also is some sort of drag, but at the same time, it's really meant to just keep the line from overrunning as you're pulling out that line and casting, because if you don't, it's just going to spin and keep spinning and it'll get all tangled up and everything. If you do need to use the drag, it's a rimless designed spool, so you should be able to just hold your line or hold your reel like normal, or your rod as you're fighting the fish. And if you do need to apply some drag, you can actually palm it. Use your hand and palm it. All right. But more often than not, the reels that I'm using in the fish that I'm catching, it's more like a line holder. So it works out really good there. And I think later on in this video, there's going to be one part where I actually be fighting one on the reel itself versus just the line. Because normally I don't use the reel that often. I'm just usually letting the line just fall to the ground and whatnot. I'm getting some good questions tonight. I like that. Because yeah, yours truly, I can't go fishing. We got these storms coming through, possible hail and whatnot. Easter's egg size hail possibly. So I got my pickup and our other car in the garage right now, and we're just kind of hunkering down and just kind of enjoying some time with y'all, being able to talk fishing and maybe have a brewski. So sit back, let's talk fishing. All right. And I mainly just wanted to go over some of the things that I've been doing these past few. And in this case, really just working the local ponds, pond fly fishing, pond ultralight bait casting, BFS, using those lightweight lures. I have been stuck on the forward-facing Yum Sonar Minnow, mainly because I do like how when you twitch it, and it kind of rises from the bottom. It'll do one of these where it rises and then it sinks, rises and sinks. It has that dead bait where it's kind of just like a hurt minnow. And I've been getting a lot of strikes in that manner on as I twitch it and kind of drag it slowly. I've been getting some fair number of bass in that manner using that technique as I work it through. But because you see that greenery that's on the water surface, that's what you're going to start seeing here, at least in our area, over the next few weeks. That stuff's going to grow everywhere, and until they put this blue dye or whatever that helps eradicate them, or at least minimize the numbers of algae and whatnot, I find that it's time to go switch over to some fly rods and whatnot, because then you can at least stay on the surface or keep from getting on the bottom where there's a bunch of junk, and kind of work the pockets between all this junk. All right. So yeah, so this was a fun trip here. Let me see if I can move us forward real quick and get you to another section. I think, yeah, I was working this particular location and I don't recall I got one there, but here I wanted to, let's see if I can show you. Okay, so here I'm just going to demo. I got the DJI Osmo Action 4, and it has a magnetic holder or whatnot, and it allows me to pop it off and move it down. And in this case, I give you another view of how I'm fishing with this fly rod, and I've got a wireless mic on, and so I'm able to just maintain the audio the whole time. So I can put the phone or the camera down, walk over, and start still talk and explain and give you a demo of what I'm doing here. So in this case, I was just demoing the use of this fly rod and how I'm kind of fishing with it, and its idiosyncrasies of how to cast it, and it's different than your normal fly rod setup that maybe a lot of us have been used to. But anyways, it casts well. There's a lot of wind. I'm taking advantage of the wind, kicking my line out and getting the distance I need. On top of it, there is a difference when you have a lot of wind coming from behind you. You, at least yours truly, tends to cast quickly back, allow my back cast to roll out, but I have to move forward quickly or it's going to collapse on me. And that's what I'm doing here. And you can see how much wind is blowing in the background. It's definitely kicking up a lot of junk, but I'm able to fish. All right, so that's what I was demoing there. Let me take you on. So I'm going to go the other side here. And what's happening here is now I've got the wind in my favor. It's coming off my off shoulder, so I can maybe do a side cast and get the line in the water and start doing some presentations up close to the bank where there may be some bass lurking. Additionally, I can see the bass beds down below and take advantage of basically sight casting. And here I can see several. I just noticed a bass had just hit the surface. Little guy. It looked like they were feeding on something that was hatching, possibly one of those I don't know, like dragonfly looking things or whatever. And I'm just kind of scouting the area. I'm going to go back up here because I had caught a bass before on this one bed. I'm just going to check if he's still there. So because I frequent a lot of these ponds and whatnot, you kind of start remembering, oh, I remember there was something here last time. Oh, I remember there were multiple other things in this location, or these fish were lurking in this potential, or there's potential because there were a lot of fish lurking there before. They're probably going to be there again. So it's just kind of keeping your back pocket here. But yeah, you can see out in the distance, just a little clear spot, little spot where a bass has built its bed, and I definitely took advantage of that before and caught him and released him, and now well, he's not there at least at this moment. So I'm going to walk my way around, continue looking for any bass that are on their beds. If I don't see one, I'm going to leave it. If I do see one, I'll cast to it, and usually the first couple of strikes or so, I can see if he's reacting. If I get his interest and he's starting to see my fly, I'm going to keep fishing it. If he's just sitting there, I got the fly under his nose and he's doing nothing, it's time to just leave him alone and go on to the next spot. And luckily this pond has a number of bass beds, so if there's not at one, just go to the next one and see if there's something there. And that's been working out pretty good. I think here at this point, I'm really just kind of working the fly for any passing bass. Okay, so there's like a lane where all that greenery is growing just on the outside of that. As you go into the lake, the bass are kind of either staying there in that near the green stuff, or they're just darting out at food of opportunity. In this case, I got this bass right here. Little guy, it's fun. Still counts, it's bass. Yep, and that one went for a damselfly. Okay. All right, so the key here is I'm still staying attentive as to what may be out there. Any movement, any surface activity, I'm going to cast to it. Immediately cast to it, because, hey, he may be hungry. He's already chasing something. You throw in a fly that looks sort of like a fish, bait fish, and he's in that feeding mode, he's probably going to strike it. So go for it. Okay. I'll continue on, and as I'm continuing on, I actually see a bass start moving through, just coming out of nowhere, out of the green stuff, and it took me off guard. And so what I ended up doing was, although it took me off guard and I wasn't able to cast immediately to it, I went ahead and cast anyways. And sure enough, I was able to hook into him. So here in a little bit, you'll see that. What you're seeing at this point is I'm still trying to catch these bass, sort of like passing through the area. So I'm casting out and I'm doing this little twitchy move, and I'm just giving it a lot of action to elicit the strike from the bass. Oh, bear with me, got a little itch. All right, so yeah, it's been pretty fun, just kind of getting out there. So that's what I've been doing these past few weeks, is hit these ponds, go for these bass that are spawning, do some sight casting, do some blind casting at potential fish that are just kind of cruising. In this case, that's what I'm doing. But I will shift back to sight casting again once I start getting to, excuse me, another section where there's bass. Man, I got a bunch of junk on me. What was I doing? Oh, I remember now. Bunch of honeydews, so I got dirty today. All right. Anyhow, I think this is where I'm gonna come up on this one bass where he just took me off guard. I'm slowly working my way up to this culvert because I've caught bass there before, just kind of lurking in that area. And as I walk up there, you can probably see in the water these light spots, circular looking things. Like I see like 3 right now. Those are bass beds. And there have been times where I've showed up and there's bass on every single one of them. In this case, there were none. I don't know where they were, but I do end up getting this guy right here. Okay. And as I was telling you about this fly rod that I'm using, I'm going to put the line on the reel, and because I don't know how big he is, and just in case, I want to be able to put some pressure on the reel, on the rim of the reel, in case I do need to apply some drag. Okay, but luckily I didn't have to. He just came in. He did run into the culvert at one point, but luckily I was able to get him out. Yeah, he's going to run under right here. So I'm just going to step off to the side and pull him away. Okay. All right. Oh, bear with me. All right. So this is another one. Bass on beds, damselfly, the 2 plumes of marabou, and a bead chain for the eyes. And when I say bead chain, it's a leftover chain from one of my ceiling fans that I use. I just kind of snip it off and repurpose it for fly fishing. Okay. All right. So that was that. Let me see if I can speed us along here. Yeah, I keep working my way over. There's a couple of places where there's some bass on beds again, but they don't want to play. I will get to one point where I got these bass actually chasing the damselfly, and I'm just recasting. I'm feeling them hit. I suspect there's some little guys, so I'm just kind of, working it quickly through, and sure enough, boom, I'm getting these little hits, but I'm missing them. I had 3 that I got on the line. I lost them. They threw the hook on me. But this action here where I'm casting out and I'm working the fly fast, and I'm also giving a few twitches and whatnot right at the tail end, that one was producing some pretty good numbers in the past, so might as well take advantage here and see if that applies as well. So that was that. All right, let me see if I can take you to our trip to, let's see, it's maybe tough to see because it's in a different format here. Let me go and shift this over. I think it's camera 4. Yeah, there we go. And then I'll do a picture. Yeah, okay. All right, here we go. So here's yours truly out there. We're hit the local pond or local lake, and I've got the old Suzuki 2.5 horsepower kicker motor. And so I mainly got it because my 6 horsepower motor is heavy. This one I can lift with one hand. I think it weighs about maybe 30 pounds. My 6 horse, it probably weighs 80 pounds. It's from 1964. It still works, just it's very painful to lift up and get into the john boat. But here you can see it's making a good progress. We're just heading out to the local pond or local lake, and we're targeting some crappie. And I'm just kind of mainly looking for getting to this one shallow area with some riprap and whatnot, and we're hoping to hook into them. And in this case, right off the bat, we end up getting one on the line. It turns out to be a crappie. Unfortunately, it was undersized. Okay. But of course you got to measure it anyways. You still got to measure it, you know. All right. And you can see it hit a crappie jig, little chartreuse and white. So quick measure. Let's see what it says. I think it came out to like 9 inches or something. Not a very big one. All right, yeah, there he is. So we have to let that one go. All right. Okay, so I was saying we were specifically targeting this riprap area, and we've got our rods out. There's 3 of them. 2, one port, one starboard, one center line, and we're initially using the oars, and these are some homemade oars that I made. I didn't feel like dropping $100 for oars. I think it was like 60-70 bucks each. So I just made them. I took a 2x4 or 2x2, and I think it was another board, and I put them on both sides, and I kind of shaved it down, and you can see those have lasted over 15 years now, so I guess they still work. Like I said, we're average Joes here. We don't have a bunch of stuff to spend on. Well, we do like spending on some gear, but we don't spend huge bucks on our stuff. Like, in fact, here I'm using the Zemco slingshot. Okay, and it's like back then it was $9.99 to include the 8-pound test line. You can get them from Walmart. The older version I liked because it had a what do you call it? This foam handle that also floated. In this case, the newer one has more of a skeleton handle, and that one doesn't float as good as the older version. But hey, they were still $9.99, so I was pretty happy with it here. Okay. And here we're just kind of working. You can see that there's a lot of wind. The good thing about the motor, 1-2 pulls. Pull once, it started. Most another pull, and it started. So been very, very, very happy with this particular setup. It's a 12-foot John boat, 2.5 horsepower kicker motor. It still works. It's been awesome. I've been really, really happy with it. Okay. All right. And like I was saying, we initially were using the oars. Later on, I turned on or turned up the outboard. We went on the other side where it was really windy. Ended up getting a nice sized white bass on there in the end. Yeah, it was pretty fun. All right. Yeah, that's good stuff. All right, so if you guys have any questions, do call it out. I'm just mainly just going over some of the events, some of the things that yours truly been doing here for the past couple of weeks, and it's mainly been pond fishing. Did make this run over in the John boat to our local lake, and we targeted some crappie and some white bass, and we did good. I ended up doing this broiled white bass recipe where I broiled it in the oven, and that turned out pretty good. Yeah, I think it's like 15-20 minutes broiled high. Came out really good. Okay. Let's see. All right, let's go and speed things up a little bit. I don't think there's any more we're catching any until we went to the other side. Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. So let's hold here, and then let me shift this over to camera 2 right here. Let me clear that out. Okay. So here I just wanted to point out this is that Scorpion BFS XG. Okay. Got some line here, 4-pound test line. Let me go ahead and reel it in real quick. All right. And this is one that you'll see a lot of times when fishing in that forward facing Yum sonar minnow. Okay. And this was one that I also use on the coast for saltwater fishing. Okay? But this next trip to the coast, Texas coast that is, I'm going to be using the Shimano Corrado BFS-XG on the Shakespeare Ugly Stick Graphite Elite, specifically targeting a speckled trout using live mullet. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited about it. So hopefully I'll be able to show you some stuff there. All right, but let's go back now and take it to this last go around. Okay. And in this video, I will be showing you, let's see, back to the Martin fly rod, but this time I'm using a weighted keel fly. So it's got this zonker strip to it, and for the tail, it's got like lead for the body, and then it's wrapped with some kind of mylar or tubing like thing that gives it a nice scaly look, and then it has some white, I believe, marabou on it as well. And that is what I'm using in this video, working, I call it the pond behind In-N-Out Burger. And what happens here is usually you can fish this throughout the year, but this time of year you are targeting these bass on beds again, but it will get clobbered with a lot of that green stuff. In fact, on the far side where I'm fishing, that's what I ended up running into. Okay, I did switch it up. This is the 8-foot 2-piece Reddington Pursuit rod on a 2.3 weight Echo Ion fly reel, and I'm using a weight forward 4-weight fly line. And here I'm just kind of working the pond, looking for these fish. I do see some little bluegill and whatnot. See if I can speed it up. Okay. Yeah. So I do, there we go. Right here. Okay. This one section, all I'm kind of showing you is how I'm casting, and I'm working either a particular bed that I actually see the fish, or I'm kind of popping it on the edge or these holes and all that green stuff. Or a little bit over to my right, you'll probably see where you can see some of the vegetation that's coming up. And all I'm doing is I'm kind of just trying to pop my fly into an open area and just kind of really just letting it sink. I'm not really retrieving it. I'm just popping it out there, letting it sink. And if nothing, I go ahead and just reel and cast again. All right. I did have several that had got hooked on and immediately threw the hook on me, or got caught in the junk and I lost them. But all I'm doing is just kind of popping away, just working my way over. Okay. Let me go ahead and speed up a little bit here. Oh, here's where I caught a little bluegill right there. And what's interesting about this pond is the coloration on these bluegill. There must be a you know, for this pond, they've got a lighter color, but then they have this big operculum where it's like a lot bigger than I've normally seen on some other bluegill in the area. And then I've gotten them to where they're bigger than the palm of my hand. Some pretty good sized ones. Okay, so I'll continue working along, and here, there's a reason why I always stop at this particular spot. It's because over the years, this little covert that's hidden in there, there's been a bass or two who have bedded in there, as well as they'll come in and out from the main pond into this little covert area and kind of hang out there as well. So it's always good to just kind of step in lightly and cast your fly in there and just kind of see if there's anything there that's interested in striking your fly, because you never know. A lot of times I pulled out some pretty decent stuff over the years, just kind of playing around in spots like this. All right, let's go on to the next spot. I think here I start catching some on the other side. Yeah, here we go. So this sign, again, this is like a great example of showing you how there's this green algae-like stuff that's going to be clobbering the pond. And what I'm doing is I'm casting, I'm dropping the fly in these spots. I'm really not doing much more other than just get my fly in between the open areas, or in those open areas between all this junk, and hold on for the strike, like in that case. So here I cast it in there, I let the fly drop right in there, and I was waiting for that strike. I see the indication of a strike. Sometimes I'll see it because I got the polarized glasses. I can see the bass come up and take it. Other times it's because of the line, the reaction of the line to the fish taking the fly. That's another one that I would say has helped me in fishing these particular ponds. There's a view of that little weighted keel fly. Okay, and that one was on a whim. I used it. I got several fly boxes back here, and I was just rummaging through there before I was getting ready to go out. And I was like, yeah, I want to grab this thing. I haven't used it in a while. Might as well see how it works. It is a small hook, though. I would say it's about a size, maybe size 10. But I've caught some pretty good sized bass on a size 10 hook in the past. So, well, things were good there. All right. Anyhow, I continue working my way. Again, just kind of dropping the fly in these different spots. When I do get to an open area, I will cast and retrieve like normal, be it some short twitches or short pulls on the line. The other thing is I will cast to the far, or on the border of all that green, brown growing stuff. And again, I'll be dropping my fly in there, looking again for that strike. Sometimes by feel, sometimes by visual. But bottom line, get your fly there, get into those open areas, get on the edges, and you'll find, well, you'll be surprised how often on one of these bass will just kind of dart out from under and take your fly. Okay. And what I find is sometimes you'll see me where I'm casting multiple times over a spot, even though I don't really need to cast that off or that much to get my fly where it needs to go. What I'm doing is I'm watching my fly and my line as I'm doing those multiple casts and seeing if I've got the right distance. So when I drop the rod, it's going to fall into that open area. If I'm not judging it right. If I've been working a particular area and I've got my, mojo on and my muscle memory's there, I can just drop it on the first cast. But sometimes, especially when it's a little bit further out than what I have been casting, I will do multiple casts, and you just kind of see me do like 2-3 casts, false casts, where I'm just kind of judging where that line is going, and then I'll drop it in there. Because if you do it the other way, two things are going to happen. You're either going to get the spot, or you're going to overshoot, or over or undershoot it and get into the junk. And next thing you know, you spook the bass. All right. And I think maybe, I think I saw it in like River Runs Through It, where you're casting a fly and they think it's maybe a bug flying in the air. So who knows? Anyhow, do try that. All right. And here I will run into some other bass. I'll see them out in the distance, kind of kicking up and everything. I think here, I think I use this later on for another deal, but right here, I'm using that DJI Mic Mini coupled with my DJI Osmo Action 4 camera. And what I like about it is I can just drop everything, walk over. In this case, I'm using that neck harness from Telesin, and I'll undo it, put that harness on the ground, and get you that other point of view of yours truly out there fishing, so you can get an idea of what I'm doing. And I'll walk away from it, and you'll still hear me talking because I've got it connected to the microphone wirelessly. And as long as I have good line of sight, I don't lose any audio. And so I'm going to walk off and I'll start fishing. And I think I posted this YouTube Shorts earlier today, where there was a movement to my left, and because I saw some surface activity, rule of thumb, cast to it. Go ahead and cast. There's maybe a good chance of catching a fish. And sure enough, that's what I did. I heard that surface activity. I looked over, I saw where it was, and I cast over, and sure enough, I hooked into them. And so That's your classic case of when in doubt, go ahead and cast. It's the same thing in when in doubt, go ahead and set the hook, right? Because a lot of times that fish is already feeding on something. He's most likely in that feeding mode, so you might as well put something in front of him that looks like what he may be eating. All right. So yeah, I think I caught him, and I'll bring him in and show you what it did. Okay. All right, let me just walk it up here. Yeah, I didn't want a big one, but still big enough to play. All right, and then right here, there's another view of that fly, the weighted keel fly. Okay. And again, I'm just going to start popping these areas. Okay. Just kind of looking for these openings and whatnot. And here it starts going to open up. So I'm going to definitely start doing these twitchy moves and whatnot and try catching them in that manner. And let me go ahead and roll forward. I got a little, I think I got something here. I think this one I cast out behind me, because you might as well cast behind you and see if maybe something's still coming up the pond. I believe this one's this may be a bluegill. Yep. All right. It's good stuff. All right. So where I'd like to take you to, as I continue on, nothing, saw some stuff moving and whatnot, and then I get to back to this side again. Okay. And here I ran into, so I just came around there before, and now I'm coming back around for a second pass, and I'm again working these different areas, and I'm going to get to this one section where I had him on the line, but he threw the hook on me, got into the vegetation, but the key, or is where I'm setting the hook, okay? But the key there again is I'm casting to the edges. So here's some greenery, some brush and whatnot, or vegetation, and I'm dropping my fly on the other side, the far end of it, and they're darting out from under there and going for my fly. Okay. Additionally, I'm looking for different spots that are open, and I'm dropping my fly there, and that's how I'm catching them. All right. Let's see. Let me see if I can take you back here. Okay. Right here, I'm fishing a spot where it's made of, I call them fish attractors. It's this PVC-like thing that they have. And what I'm doing is I'm casting out past it, and then I'm bringing my fly in, letting it sink. I'm actually letting it sink, and I'm watching the line. In this case, I saw the line kind of pull forward. Okay, so I cast, line sitting in the water, and as I'm kind of letting it drift and sink the fly, I could see my line just kind of following that fly, the speed, motion on it. But then all of a sudden it kind of hesitates, and then it moves forward just slightly, and that was the indication of a strike. That's when I went ahead and set the hook. I did the Hank Patterson. When in doubt, set the hook. It twitches, if it moves, if it wiggles, if it jiggles, set the hook. I'm all for that. Okay. Anyhow, that was that trip. It's been pretty fun. Over the course of the last few weeks and what, I've been enjoying some pond fly fishing as well as ultralight bait casting. I would say that I would have been out there this weekend, but unfortunately we do have these storms rolling through right now, so might as well get together, do a little let's talk fishing, and definitely have the any questions that you may throw at me. Definitely, hopefully I can either answer or redirect you to someone who may. Additionally, did make that one run to the local lake, Lake Lavon, and did pretty good there with what we were trying to. We were initially targeting crappie, but ended up being white bass. It's still good, and my burrowed trout recipe worked well for white bass. I did find, I did get this new knife. It's like $30 or something, Dexter or something. It's the same one that you see a lot of deckhands on the party boats that I used to fish in California would use for cutting up the mackerel and bonita that we'd caught, and filleting those, and it worked really well on these white bass. The key thing with white bass though is make sure you cut off that red stuff, the red meat, because that kind of gives it a little fishy stuff to it. See, hardware is the best thing ever for trout. All right, cool. All right, I do use super dupers, rooster tails, the inline spinners. Those have been pretty good. I do also have the trout magnet, and in particular, I use a specific ultralight bait casting outfit for that. The Flight Feather Kingfisher and a Handing Magic L rod, the 4.5 foot. I do have the 6 foot rod, but I don't use that as much, mainly because the 4.5, I tend to side cast more when I'm ultralight bait casting. But I do like the trout magnet. I've been a trout getter too. Let's see, Panther Martin, the MEPs. Yeah, I pretty much keep those. And the main thing that I do then is I just adjust the color, because sometimes one color works more than the other, especially with the super duper. There's been some ponds where every year I go there, they want the gold versus the silver. And there's one particular river I went to in the Metroplex where they stock it with trout in the winter, and all they wanted was the copper super duper. It was weird, yeah. And that one I did on the whim because I was fly fishing. I was working a bend. I had one nice one on there, but other than that, it was kind of dead. And I was just kind of searching through everything. And then finally I was like, well, I got these little super dupers, a copper super duper. I went ahead and put on my fly rod, and I was able to toss it into the current of the river where I thought they were lurking in this one hole, and I was able to just kind of pop it back and forth. And sure enough, I got a limit in that manner. And it turns out they just wanted copper. Very, very confusing. All right. So again, here I am, just kind of working this particular location. I'm casting. I'm watching for that fly or the indication of a strike, and it's really the fly line that I'm looking at this point. If I had a strike indicator, I'd be using the strike indicator, but in this case, I'm kind of using the fly line itself as the strike indicator. This short pull retrieve, I'd use that for different fish. You can just see where I just pop the line with these short pulls, and I'm watching. As soon as you pop that line, watch for any motion in that line that indicates a strike. And as I get closer into the retrieve, I'll start kind of doing this little twitchy movement right at the end, just to give it a little bit more action, maybe something different. Maybe I got one that's trailing behind it, be it a bass or a bluegill, and just when I switch over to that twitchy motion, bang, he hits it. You know, like right there, I had one on, and he threw the hook on me. So, yeah, that's fishing though. All right. What else we got? Anything else? Letting it roll here. This is that, again, the pond behind In-N-Out Burger. I have seen some people out there recently, and I haven't seen how they've been doing. But it's good to know that there's some other folks out there doing a little fishing. Okay. All right. But over the course of probably the next few weeks, things will warm up on us. May make a run up to Oklahoma, see if we can do some kayak fishing for some of those saugeye. We're still trying to get a keeper size saugeye so we can see what one of those tastes like, because we hear that's one of the best tasting fish that you can get in fresh water. And to me, striped bass, crappie, those are way up on the list, with a crappie probably edging out a striped bass. Striped bass are great for fried as well as broiling. But crappie, I don't know. That's a very tough one to beat. So we'll see what a saugeye tastes like if we can first catch one. All right. Okay. Let's see. Other things. What was it? I have been playing around with that DJI Osmo Action 4. I'm probably going to use it for my main camera, mainly because I have the versatility of moving that camera around from one point of view to another. And additionally, I may eventually get it to where I can live stream directly. I just don't want to bring my iPad with me right now, and I don't have the app on my phone to allow that. So from a form factor standpoint, it's just easier just to go ahead and use my normal phone that I like using. In fact, here I can show you real quick how I set that up. Yeah. Let me go ahead and shift cameras. Okay. Let's see. Let me go ahead and open it up back here. All right. Okay. So this is when I want to live stream, actual live stream versus a rebroadcast. I will use this right here. Teleson mount. Okay, it's a magnetic deal. Got my phone, magnetic. It's got a lanyard here. I just pop it on here just to stay safe because I don't want to lose it. And then this goes right here. Okay. And it hooks on. And you could live stream as is, but you'll get a lot of audio kind of blows. So the next thing I do is I use one of these guys right here. Okay. This is a mount right here, OTG cable that converts a 3.5 millimeter lav mic, and this lav mic has a lot of extra line here which I don't need, and I'll just attach it to my shirt, put this in my pocket, keep that out of the way, and then this will attach to the phone like your normal USB-C. And then I have this piece right here. This is the one that has allowed me more flexibility when it comes to fishing, or not fishing, but live streaming. I can put a power bank here. Okay. And the key thing about having that power bank is now instead of a 45-minute live stream from a phone, I can go 2 hours typically, where I attach it to a power bank and just have it here, and I put the power bank in my other pocket, and that's allowed me to do some live streams on the fly. It's probably the easiest one to set up when it comes to doing a live stream onto YouTube. Only bad thing is it's the one-man show, and so I have to look down and do the chat deal and answer the mail while I'm fishing, which is tough sometimes. And additionally, I'm only able to give you this point of view. I can't shift over like I can with the DJI. Okay. And I do like the wireless lav mic that I have on the DJI, so I can basically pop this off, and with my other deal that I use specifically for the DJI, and allow you to see that other point of view when I'm fishing. Let me shift back again. All right. Let me just put this up real quick. All right. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to get into doing your own live streams, you already have a phone typically, so you might as well just kind of throw that baby on there and get that magnetic mount. I definitely like that. And the other thing I'm doing here is I've got a HDMI switcher that allows me to put different things. So right now I've got an iPad that's feeding into the switcher, so I can get you this point of view right here, right there, so you can see the video. And additionally, I've got this camera here that you'll see turn on and off at times. It's not your fancy stuff. It's a old T2i Rebel that I have connected to the HDMI switcher. And then I've got another, I can add another camera. In fact, that's what I have right here on camera 2, right here. Okay, right there. And then, yeah, and then I can add another camera for one more. I have the cable up here to my left, and usually I'll put another camera here so I can give you another view from this angle to explain what I'm doing. Okay, or if I'm giving you another angle here to my right where I'm trying to show you up close what I'm doing. And so that's really helped my streaming game, as well as trying to explain things, because a lot of times you get a question asked, and to me it's better just to get online and start walking through what the question is. So I've done that before. Someone will reach out and ask me a question, and I'll say, here, I'll just set up a live stream. Sometimes I'll do this live stream where it's directly from the phone, and I've got another outfit here where I can talk on it, and go through a real quick demo or walk through something. Other times it'll take me a little bit to get everything set up. Like in this case, this live stream, it took me several tries because I had to reconfigure a few things, and there was some updates that threw me a curve when I was getting ready to stand up the stream. So, hey, that's what live streaming's like. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all joining today. If anyone has any questions, certainly throw them at me afterwards in the comments and whatnot. But at this point, I believe, yeah, I think we had a really good session. Let's talk fishing session. Do stay tuned, because I am going to get back out there fishing. It'll probably be more pond fishing, kayak fishing, and if I can get out there with the John boat again, I definitely want to be out there with that and try out that trolling technique with that 2.5 horsepower kicker motor. And then with the kayaking, hey, jug lining, kayaking, kayak jug lining, it's awesome. It's just a great way. You get a little workout, you get some nice fillets afterwards, and do some blackened catfish or something. Very tasty. All right, man. That's all I have this round. All right. All right. Till next time, we'll catch y'all later, and good luck. Good fishing.